All right, everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to show you another Photopia tutorial about how to make a sandwich. All right, we're going to use, this is a tutorial that's going to really show you how to use layers and also how to use layer masks. And so we're kind of doing two things at once here with this video. All right, so let's make me a sandwich. So here we go. Let's go to start out photopia.com, right? And I already have all of the files downloaded to my computer, so you'll need to download those. There are a good amount of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different images. Okay, so I'm going to go to open, and then the first one is the plate. We have to think about this whole thing as in layers. Okay, which means how do you make a sandwich? What goes down on the plate first? Okay, so I have my background layer here. That is the plate with the table. All right, so what goes down first? How about the bread? All right, so I'm going to come up here to File. I'm going to go to Open and Place. All right, and so I want slice of bread, and then click Open. And you'll see that over here on the layer panel, that gives it its own layer. Okay, you also have a box around it, kind of like the free transform tool, asking if you want to edit it in any way. I'm going to just click the check mark and say that's fine the way it is. All right, so I am on the slice of bread layer, and then I'm going to come down here to the bottom. All right, the bottom of the layer panel. All right, and 1, 2, 3, 4. It is the fourth tool in. Okay, it says add raster mask. Okay, it is also in the middle, right? So that's what I'm going to click. Add raster mask. It is in the middle. All right, and so the reason we want to use masks in Photopia more than deleting or using the eraser tool, the reason we want to use the mask is because it actually keeps the picture there. All of the picture is still there. So if you do anything that you're like, you know what, I want that back, you don't need to go do undo. You don't need to go up to your history bar. You know, you can just, the photos right there, all of the photos right there. And so a good word to use is non-destructive, right? It does not destroy the photo, parts of the photo, right? So it is a very non-destructive way of editing, okay? So I have this layer mask right here. You can see here on the slice of bread layer, I have the image of the bread and I have this white box, okay? I want to be operating right now with clicked on this white box, all right? Then I want to come over here to my paintbrush and I want to make sure that both of these colors are black, all right? And so when you want something to disappear or erase, you want the paintbrush to be black. If you want to bring something back, you just make the paintbrush white. All right, and I'll show you how that works right here, right now. All right, I'm going to zoom into the bread a little bit. All right, and so now I'm just going to, well, I'm going to make my paintbrush a little bit bigger too. All right, now I'm just going to paint this black, but it doesn't, because I am on the mask layer, it doesn't come out black. It's just disappearing like magic. It's just disappearing. And what I'm kind of doing is I'm kind of erasing it without actually, I'm not actually erasing it. That's the cool thing about doing this with the mask tool, is that it's not actually gone. Right? I got pretty much around my piece of bread. I'm gonna get in this little corner here real quick. In this corner real quick. All right. And I know I just said that it's not gone, but to my eye, it looks like it's gone. So, you know, I'm going to show you what I mean by this. Okay. If I come down here and I change the color from black to white, all right, make my brush a little bit bigger. I'm going to paint this in, And yeah, it looks like I'm just painting it white, but oh, right there you can see the bread crust is coming back, right? So I'm basically undoing what I just did with the layer mask. Okay, so real quickly, I'm just gonna go ahead and erase that again. But that's the cool thing about the layer mask is yes, I'm getting rid of it, but no, it is not actually gone. It is not gone. It is still, all of the photo is still there. And so that's good when you're editing your photos. You know, if you took a really cool photo but you want to edit it in some way, it doesn't actually destroy the photo to the point where you would have to open it up again in a different file for you to do something else. Now everything's right there. Everything's still 100% there. And so it's a not good, non-destructive way of editing your photos. Right? Now, what kind of sandwich only has one piece of bread, right? So I'm going to right-click over here on my layer panel. And it made my screen jump like crazy, but I'm going to click Duplicate Layer, right? And so now I have two layers that say Slice of Bread. Okay, I'm going to click on the top one that says Slice of Bread Copy. I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on the actual piece of bread, and I'm going to drag it over. All right. Now, it is super important to pay attention to what part of the layer I'm saying that I'm clicking on, right? Because you have a layer and you have the mask of that layer, right? So now I am clicked on slice of bread copy, but on the mask, on the white part, because now that I moved the piece of bread over, I can actually see that I missed a spot, right? So I'm just going to clean that up a bit. And there we go. All right. Well, yep, that's not going to work on that one. I have to click on the other slice of bread layer mask and get rid of that. All right. So there we go. We have our bread down. Now, what do we want? Well, good sandwich making technique says the next thing should be cheese. All right, so I'm going to go to File and Place and throw some cheese on here. Okay. Now this image is way too big, right? So I can right now very quickly hold Shift, holding my Shift key on my keyboard. I have it held down. I'm going to make this a little smaller. I'm going to drag it into place so I can actually better size up whether or not it's the right size. I still have my Shift key held down. I still have my Shift key held down. I've let go of my mouse and then I let go of my Shift key. Okay, that's good. A good practice for when you're using Photoshop or this Photopia. You know, when you're moving things, making things smaller, hold the Shift key first, make it smaller, let go, but still hold the Shift key. All right, because sometimes you're trying to work fast and everything, you'll do it all really fast. You'll actually let go of the Shift key before you let go of the mouse, and then it'll still throw it off of out of whack. All right, so now I'm going to come up here and click on the check mark, and there it is. So this is really, this entire project, making me a sandwich, is all just the same steps over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to click on the cheese layer. I'm going to come down here to the middle tool. It says Add Raster Mask, and click on it. I'm going to make sure that I'm on the mask and not on the cheese layer, right? This over here is the cheese layer. This over here is the mask. All right, I'm going to make sure I have my paintbrush. I'm going to make sure my paintbrush is black. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger so I can do this all in one pass. Click and hold and drag down and drag across. Trying to make it as much of a straight line as possible. And there we go. Now I'm going to zoom in by holding Control and hitting plus, where you could just use a magnifying glass. And you see here, okay, right here, we have some holes in this cheese because of the type of cheese that it is. Some holes in this cheese, but if you look through the hole, it's white. I don't want that. That doesn't look authentic, right? I want it to look like bread underneath there. That's another great thing about using this masking tool. All right, so I'm I'm going to make my brush size a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to start getting rid of that white stuff, right? So right there, you can see, now you can see it looks more yellow, like it's the actual bread. It is the actual bread underneath this cheese instead of just white. Right? All these other slices, all these other holes are not really big enough, so I can't really see it that well. All right, so there I have cheese. Now I'm gonna kind of break things apart. Realistically, in my opinion, if I'm making a sandwich, I'm putting a piece of cheese on both slices of bread. You can do that if you want, but I'm going to split it up so that I kind of have half the ingredients on one slice of bread and half the ingredients on the other slice of bread. Okay. So now after the cheese, I'm gonna go up to place, open in place again. And now it's not quite as important, in my opinion, as to what you put on the sandwich. You just need to make sure you put all of the pieces on. So I'm going to click on tomato. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to do lettuce. I'm going to put the lettuce on next. Okay, I'm going to put that on this slice of bread, though. All right, I think that's a good size for the lettuce. I'm going to hit check mark. I'm going to click on the lettuce layer. I'm going to click on the add raster mask. Okay, paintbrush. It's black. I need to make it bigger for sure. I'm going to grab the magnifying glass. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, and then grab the paintbrush again. 19, that looks about okay. All right, and then I just try to take out this white background, right? And I'm focusing on, first of all, close to the lettuce. That's what I want to focus on first. And then once I have the background that is close to the lettuce gone, then I can worry more about the background that is all over the place. Now this isn't going to fit, this brush size isn't going to fit in here. So I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. Right? And realistically, I want to get close to the edge, but I don't want to get too close to the edge. I don't want to take away the real edge of the lettuce and make a new edge. That's not my intention. That's not going to look good either. Right? So I'm trying to get close to the edge, but still like protecting the real edge of the lettuce. What I'm trying to do. Sometimes it works better than others. I'm just going all the way around. I just want to get around the perimeter first. Once I have the perimeter done, then I can go around with a bigger brush stroke, bigger brush size, and just wipe all that background out. I can do it quicker that way because then I don't need to worry about, am I going to get too close to the edge of this lettuce, because I already got close to the edge, and so I have a little bit more room to play with, as they say. All right, I'm just keep going around this lettuce. And of course, I'm getting older, so I have to move closer to the screen and squint. All right, so I'm going to make my brush size just a little bit smaller again, and just clean up the areas that were just too small for that brush size to get. I'm almost done here. Almost. Inside here, there's a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to zoom out by holding Control and hitting minus. I'm going to make my brush size a lot bigger, bigger. There we go. And now I can just wipe that out, just completely annihilate that white background super quickly. There's also some spots that, yeah, I missed, so I'll clean that up. And right there. All right, there we go. That piece of lettuce is done. Now I'm going to click on the lettuce layer. I have my move tool, and I'm just going to drag it into place over top of the bread. There we go. Easy peasy. Now the next step, I'm going to, again, come up here to File, go to Open in Place. What do I want to do next? Let's go with the bacon. All right, let's make some bacon. That would probably be a giant size slice of bacon. So I'm going to hold the Shift key, move it to about the size of real bacon, and then hit the check mark. Come over here, click on the cooked bacon layer. I'm going to come down here to the bottom, add raster mask button, grab my brush tool. Here we go, just roughly. See, now I'm doing the bacon the opposite way I did the lettuce. The lettuce I did around the outside first, around just the perimeter, real close to the lettuce. This one, I don't know why, just them. It's really the opposite way of the right way. The way the lettuce was done, that was the right way. I don't know, maybe my eyes are a little tired from looking that close to the screen or what, but I just feel like this is doing me better justice for now. Getting close. Now I'm going to, oh, made a mistake. Hit undo. I'm going to come over here to the magnifying glass tool. I'm going to zoom in twice and then grab the brush and then make that smaller. Yeah, that looks. And again, I don't want to go over the edge. I don't want to create a new edge for this bacon. I just want to get close to it. But I also don't want to see any of that white background. All right. Oh yeah. I also, while naming these files, I helped you out a little bit because I named them very appropriately. Sometimes when you do work on these projects, you get an image from the internet, and it's got a file name like 543XZWQRSMKNRO, nonsense like that, and then you don't know what it is. Or sometimes it'll come in Photopia as, layer 1, right? But if you do the open in place, okay, is naming it the same name as its actual file name. And that helps when you have all these layers. This project, we're going to have a good amount of layers, and that's okay. Most good photoshopped pictures have a ton of layers, right? And so, but it's going to help you know what is on each layer. Okay, so now I'm done. I'm going to click on the cooked bacon. I'm going to click cooked bacon layer. Then I'm going to click on my move tool. I'm going to move it just about down here. Then I'm going to right click on the cooked bacon layer. I'm going to duplicate layer, grab my move tool again, move this one up a bit, and do the same thing again. Okay, and I can see I have a little white spot there. So I'm going to, on this cooked bacon copy 2, click on my mask, and just use the paintbrush and go over that. If you're noticing that you missed a spot, sometimes it's hard to see because of the background. Because of the background and the colors in the background at the time, and sometimes it's hard to see that you didn't get something so good on the original, right? Like here on this one, I can see that the bottom layer, the bottom part of this bacon has a lot of the white background layer. Well, I'm getting rid of that right now, right? Same thing with cooked bacon copy 2, the top one. All right, now if I zoom out, there we go. All right, next let's put the tomato on the top of the lettuce. All right, so I'm going to go up here to File, Open in Place. Again, everything is the same exact steps. All right, let's just do one layer, one tomato. If you wanted to, you could make it a little bit smaller and then put 2 tomatoes. I'm just going to do one. I'm going to click on the tomato layer. I'm going to add layer mask. I'm going to grab my paintbrush. I'm going to make my paintbrush a lot bigger. And make sure that I'm clicked on the actual layer mask. Go around the tomato. Zoom in. I'm going to use my white brush. I noticed that I wasn't too careful over here. So I'm going to paint this part of the tomato back in. And that's also easier than undoing because I held my mouse down for a long time doing that tomato. So if I hit undo, it would undo all that. So it's a lot easier and quicker if I just use the white paintbrush to kind of put back what I took too much out of. Right, and I'm just going to go around the outside with my black paintbrush. Getting this tomato real good. All right, and there we go. I think that's good enough. All right, so there we go. I have cheese, bread, bacon, lettuce, tomato. All right, now we're not done yet. Still have more parts of this sandwich. It's a traditional BLT right there. I like onion. I like onion on my BLT. Now the file that I'm giving you already has a transparent background, which means you just have to find a spot for it. And then hit enter. All right. So that's a quick lesson on file types, okay, as well, because all these other pictures, okay, the slice of bread, the cheese, the lettuce, the bacon, the tomato, those are all JPEGs, JPGs, okay, which means they have a background. The onion was created in a way that the background was transparent, but then it was saved as what we call a PNG. Okay, so it is actually called onion slice underscore transparent dot PNG. That means it's a picture, but it's a picture where things can be transparent. You cannot have that with a JPEG. And so a lot of times finding and creating PNGs can save you time and can save you a lot of work. All right. So there we go. We have bread, cheese, bacon, onion on this side. We have bread, lettuce, tomato on this side. That looks like a great sandwich. But we're missing something. This sandwich is going to be super dry. So let's throw on some mayo. I like mayonnaise on my BLT. So let's throw on some mayonnaise. All right, I'm going to come over here to the new layer button. which is right next to the trash can one. Okay, new layer. I'm going to click on the color tool down here, this one, the one out in front, make it white, and the paintbrush. All right, I'm gonna make this brush maybe, all right, size 15 sounds about right. And I'm just going to make some curved lines, okay, on this side. All right, then I'm going to come over down here to the bottom of the layer panel on the button that says EFF, or when you put your cursor over it, it says layer style. Okay, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click on drop shadow. Okay. If you ever click on the wrong thing, you can always change it over here. I could click on color overlay, gradient overlay, pattern overlay, like whatever you want. Here I'm clicking on drop shadow. All right. Now the drop shadow is too far away. Okay. And then I'm also going to up here click on contour. Okay. Now if you look at that over there, it doesn't just look like, I'm going to click OK. It doesn't just look like white stripes. It kind of looks like some mayo. Yeah. All right. I'm going to grab the yellow. I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. All right. This is looking like some mustard. All right. So if you watch cooking shows, I watch a lot of cooking shows. I like to cook. That's secret time about me. But if you watch cooking shows, they say that all food need a few things: salt, fat, acid, heat. Right. So the mustard is going to kind of, because the main component in mustard is vinegar, that's going to add the acid that's going to help the sandwich eat better. Just real quick cooking lesson right there. You never know what you're going to get when you watch these videos, huh? All right, so I click on layer 2. I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the mayo layer. I'm going to come down to EFF, or the layer style. I'm going to click on drop shadow. Now, again, it saved all of my things for the mayo, so all I got to do is make sure I click on the right box. It's drop shadow and contour. And there we go. All right. You can also double click on these, name them mustard. All right, and that's the sandwich. That is everything right there. All right. The important thing is, okay, when you're making this sandwich, for me to grade it, I need to see every single piece of the sandwich, right? So here I can see the bread, I can see the cheese, I can see the bacon, I can see the onion, I can see the mustard, I can see the bread, I can see the lettuce, I can see the tomato, I can see the mayo. Okay, I need to be able to see it. So if one of your items covers another one, I'm going to call you out on it. Right? So you got to make sure that all of your layers are visible. Okay, all of your layers need to be visible. All right, then you're going to come up here to File. You're going to export as JPG, and then hit Save. Okay. Then you're going to upload that to the classroom page. All right. That is how to make a sandwich on a computer. It's not, it looks tasty, but you can't eat it. And that's a little disappointing.